This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Bare Beans Coffee. Bare Beans Coffee was built by passionate hunters like you and I, and their mission is to give back to wildlife, specifically bear conservation. Bare Beans Coffee offers both ground and whole bean options, and their flavors include dark roast, hibernation roast, and spring awakening. When drinking Bare Beans Coffee, you can be confident that you are getting a high-quality cup of joe and supporting bear conservation across North America. 10% of all profits from Bare Beans are donated to carefully selected partners such as the Western Bear Foundation. Visit barebeans.com to buy coffee and support bear conservation today.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Hunt the Wild podcast. I'm your host Adam Bowlds. Today I'm joined with Mark Heineman of Rock and Roll Redneck Outdoors. He's a Texas guy, lives on a ranch down in Texas. Are you a Texas native, Mark?
Oh yeah, born in Houston.
So how are you doing this evening?
I'm good, man. Good. Yourself? Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it, man. It's really cool.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on. And I know I had this scheduled for 6:30 and I had to push it back a little bit. So I appreciate that.
Easy time to make tacos, man. That's what that was.
Heck yeah. I hope there was some wild game in those tacos.
My mom doesn't really eat it. So I take care of her full time. So she doesn't eat wild game very much, but I wish it was too.
Yeah. Okay. I'll let you slide on that one then.
All right.
So can you introduce yourself and tell everybody kind of how you got involved in hunting in the outdoors?
Well, it's Mark Heineman, like you said. I'm 6'3", cancer. I like long walks in the woods. Oh, wait. Sorry, wrong podcast. No, my name's Mark Heineman.
This is getting weird really fast.
I told you it was going to be awkward at the beginning. I like to have fun, man. So I'm going to try to do as much funny stuff as I can. Anyway, my name's Mark Heineman. My name's Mark Heineman. I'm ate up with outdoors and hunting. I purchased my own ranch in 2018. And before that, I got to hunt a little bit in South Texas. And then it all got taken away. And then I duck hunted. So we're going to get into all that. But I started Rock and Roll Redneck out years ago at the bar. When I was sitting there talking to this guy about hunting, and then some heavy metal song came on, like Slayer or Pantera or something like that. And I got all excited. And he looks at me, he goes, "Man, you're like a rock and roll redneck." And I was like, I'm totally stealing that. And so I did. And then it took probably 8 to 10 years for that to come to fruition. And so I started that, and it's on YouTube and all that kind of stuff. So I just enjoy hunting. It's like the greatest thing to do ever. I mean, that's really how I feel about it.
I think you'll fit in well here. I think most of us are got bit by that bug too. So how'd you kind of get started in hunting? Was that something you picked up as a kid, or?
Well, my dad and my uncle were both from North Louisiana, and they duck hunted a lot. Like my dad tell me stories that he would go to school in high school and have his gun in the trunk back in the day. And then the time to go after school, he'd go duck hunting, and the gym teacher would come out and be like, "What are you carrying today? What gun's in here?" So it shows you how times have changed. But when we moved down here, and I grew up right next to NASA, like 400 yards from the fence at NASA. And it's a huge piece of property, and it's high fence, and they have deer all over it. I mean, every day that I drive by, I see 20 deer, and I'm in the middle of Houston. And so my dad and my mom have been divorced for a long time. So I would go to his house. And one time we were sitting at his house, and I was probably 5 or 6 years old. I had a blowgun, and I sat there, waited for this mouse, and I shot this dart, and it bounced off the ground and pinned him to the wall. And that's the first time I ever hunted. And like my dad was inside watching baseball, and I was a baseball fanatic back in the day. And I was like, I'm going to sit here and get this thing. And I got it. And he's so proud, took a picture like it was a trophy. But in 1984, the day after Christmas, my dad took me deer hunting for the first time. And I was so small, I couldn't even see over the top of the blind, because in Texas, especially in South Texas, you're on an elevated 10-story blind or 10-foot blind. And I couldn't even see over the top in the chair. So I'd got new boots, and I was staring in my boots, and my dad shot this really nice deer, which I have still to this day have the mount. And he told me he would never have mounted it if it wasn't for me. So he shot the deer, and like I got down and I was like, "Can I touch it?" I was like a little kid. And as soon as I touched that deer, I was like, "This is the greatest thing ever. This is so cool." And then we'd eat it. And of course, it's delicious, way better than most things. And so after that, I got to hunt with him and his buddy, his business. My dad worked in the pipelines, so he was a purchasing agent, and he purchased stuff from this guy. His name was Bobby Sandlin, and they've leased 2,200 acres in almost the prime South Texas area. So I got to hunt on 2,200 acres, kill 4 or 5 nice bucks, turkey. We didn't have any hogs, which is totally different than now. But so we did that from like 87 to like 91 or 92. And then the guy sold that property for $1 million. Well, that probably be almost $10 million probably at this point. At 2,200 acres.
That's a heck of a piece of property, 2,200 acres.
I mean, if you went to the back, you were like, and you hunted in the morning, you had to leave like an hour early sometimes because you can only go so fast. But so it was all, they sold the property and it was all taken away. Well, unfortunately, not too long after that, my dad's friend Bobby Sandlin passed away unexpectedly. And I think it took the wind out of my dad's sails because he kind of stopped hunting because he didn't have a place to go. He didn't want to get on a lease. A lot of leases in Texas, you can't have family members. And he's like, I'm not going to go without my son. And then, of course, then you get into junior high and high school. And I went to 4 different high schools. Not my fault. None of them. I promise you it wasn't my fault. But so I didn't get to really meet. And it's hard to, get into a crowd that hunts. So I kind of just lost all hunting until like 2009. My best friend Mike, who, if you've watched YouTube, you'll see him. He sends me this picture of this huge deer, and I'm like, "Who shot that?" He's like, "I did," and he never hunted in his life. The first day he was in a deer blind, so that was in Kerrville, which is in the hill country of Texas. About an hour and a half north or west of San Antonio, and he sends me a picture of that. Well, his family, who are my family now that he's been married to her for 10 years, they let me go hunt. So I got to kill a couple of does. And that just really inflamed the itch. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is so cool. I didn't see any bucks, but I didn't care, man. I was like, I just got to kill a deer. And it was like I killed my first deer all over again. Well, that was just a temporary thing. And then I got to hunt in East Texas one day and I killed a buck. I killed an 8-point buck that was just barely legal. And in that part of Texas, they have really crazy deer restrictions. Like, they have to be 13-inch inside spread or you can't shoot them. I don't care if they're 25 years old. You can't shoot them, which is, in my mind, bad deer management for antler restrictions. But so I was technically I was a guest on this property. It was a guy I worked with. It was his girlfriend's parents' place. He's like, hey, we need to go up there. We left some stuff up there. It's like a 2-hour drive. I said, cool, as long as he knows I'm going. They said yes. Long story short, he didn't know I was going. I shot a man's deer. I had permission from other people. And I felt so bad. And then I didn't get to hunt again until like 2015. And my uncle called me and said, hey, we have an opening on our duck lease. And some of these guys have been on that duck lease since 1983. And so they're older than me. And then there were people that had grown up there their whole life. They'd hunted on this one piece of property. So in 2015, I got to join that. And right as I got on that, another guy was having his like 12th kid, literally. I don't know, he's like 6 or 7, seriously. He was having that many kids. And they had already planned a trip to Saskatchewan, Canada. So I jumped on board with that, took his spot. It cost me more than everybody, even the first class passengers. I was in coach. So we fly into Minneapolis, and we get on this little tiny plane, and I'm 6'3". So I'm having to walk down this plane like this and shoulders in and everything. And then we had to drive 2 hours out of Regina, Canada. And I'm not making that up. That's actually where, what's his name? Ryan Reynolds is from. And then we drove, but they left like 7 of our bags off the plane. Because they didn't have enough space. So we went to, we finally got all our stuff and we hunted in Canada, came back. Here's my one tip if you're going to Canada, especially, take your own weapon. It's like $20 and a piece of paper. Take it because the guide's guns did not work. We still killed 200 and some odd birds out of 5 days, but no, we never limited because the guns would shoot once and they wouldn't shoot. I have the same gun here. It shoots fine.
Well, they're junk from being overused.
And you can't buy ammo in Canada, like as a non-resident of Canada. Your guide has to do that. And it's just they just have weird laws, and there's no leasing in Canada, like at all. It's all permission type things. And we were hunting one day, and this landowner came out and said, people are supposed to be hunting here. So it's kind of a cluster, but it was really, really fun. My first time ever out of the United States, first time guided hunt. So back in Texas, I hunted on that lease till 2018. And then that guy changed all the rules because he got caught cheating his family. And we were going to have to get off. So one of those guys bought a new place, and then I bought my place because I got tired of I keep getting tired of getting kicked off, and I was very fortunate enough to be able to do that. And so that's what I did. And that's how kind of all this began, to be honest with you.
How you got bit by the bug.
Oh, dude, I've been bit by the bug, but now I'm bit by the conservation. There's a whole lot, like tomorrow I'm leaving to go up there to build hog panels around my protein pens. because they've torn up my protein pens, and they'll go in there and just hit the protein feeder, and all that expensive protein just falls out of the ground, and the hogs are getting. I don't want that. I mean, I like the hogs, but I hate them. I love them.
I'm gonna back up here a little bit. I can honestly say that nobody's ever told me that their first hunt or their first kill was a mouse. So yeah, that's impressive.
Thanks. I appreciate that. So, I still have the picture somewhere. I wish I had it. I'd post it on social media. But
oh yeah, that would totally be a throwback Thursday kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly right.
So you started hunting what year? Did you say you went with your dad or whatever? Was it sometime in the 80s?
12/26/1984, the day after Christmas.
1984.
I was 9 years old.
So I don't get a lot of people that started hunting in the 80s on my podcast. It all seems to be like people around my age, maybe a few years older, but like I wasn't even, thought of in 1980. I wasn't even thought of in 1990s, if that makes me feel old. I don't know.
No, it does. I was going to say, thanks for making me feel old. I'm the oldest guy on the podcast so far.
93 here, 93.
I graduated high school in 94.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah. Feeling real old.
I'm a cool old guy, though.
Yeah. So, I want to kind of touch on the transition kind of hunting through the years, because I know that it has to be totally different in 2022 than it was in 1980s. Can you kind of talk about how things kind of evolved and changed from maybe you didn't notice as much as a kid, maybe you did, but kind of from 84, 85 up to the 90s, and then the kind of the 90s trends going on, and then maybe the early 2000s trends, and then 2010 and maybe now or something.
Right. Well, a lot of that time I didn't hunt, so I don't know exactly how the hunting was, but back when we were hunting in the 80s, there was no scent killer spray. There were no trail cameras. You had to do the work. I mean, you had to go out there and you had to, scout and do, find your own. So you can't just put a camera up and like, oh, the deer are coming through here. You couldn't do that. And, there was no scent clothing. The camouflage was, that old school looking camouflage. My dad would smoke in the blind. He hardly ever wore camouflage in the blind. In fact, I wear this shirt because it's in the blind. It's black.
Yeah.
Camo is not the same color. But the technology and the social media aspect of that whole are way different. There was no technology back in the day. And I mean, it was just, you went out and did all the work. That's kind of how I think maybe a little of the public land goes. Because you guys that hunt public land, y'all are like my heroes, man. In Texas, first of all, the public land is so small. There's so little of it, and it's so far away. It's really hard for me to do. I mean, it's like probably an hour and a half to 2 hours from my house. Not like you get to drive like 20 minutes across the border.
Yeah.
Like if I leave from Houston to go to my ranch, I still have 450 miles to go to the other side of Texas. That's how big we are. There's so many, so big. But technology's changed everything in hunting. Like Arizona no longer lets you have a trail camera, which I think is silly.
Yeah.
Because I've never got a trail camera pick and went, oh, I'm gonna go over there and hunt that deer right now.
Yeah.
They're smarter than we are.
It doesn't work. Yeah. It doesn't work that way.
It gives you an idea of how to categorize your deer. Like, okay, this deer's a shooter. This deer's not a shooter. And to management purposes back in the 80s, no one had really started doing that totally. I didn't know anything about protein, alfalfa, cottonseed, any of that stuff. It was just straight corn, and it flung out of the feeder, because in Texas, in certain parts of Texas, you can see about that far in the brush. That's it. You can't see anything.
Do you remember when you were a kid, if your dad or anybody that hunted with you guys, were they talking about like, I'm not going to shoot that deer, he's too small, kind of like you hear it now? Or is it just kind of like they just kind of shot whatever they felt like?
It just depends on the piece of property. There was more shoot whatever you like, fill your freezer. But now there was the age structure and the deer management thing was just coming to a head about that time.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And so, there was we decided, hey, we're only going to shoot 8 points or greater. Well, come to find out, that's not always the best solution for bad deer genetics. And when you have that many acres, it's a little easier to control. Like I have 180 acres now, which I know is a question you're going to ask me, but I have 180 acres. So those deer can go anywhere they want to. And that 2,200 acres, they're probably going to stay a lot on that. But it's completely different, totally different. There's so much more knowledge and so much easier to get knowledge from podcasts, from, anything on television or anything on the internet. So it's, in my mind, it's completely changed. Nobody was videoing hunts back then because the damn cameras were like this big.
Yeah. Yeah.
Literally had a VHS tape in it. That really shows my age. The VHS tape is this big, and then you have an SD card that's like this. That can hold 20 hours of footage. So no chair cameras, no technology, and here's a perfect example of how it's different. We didn't have cell phones, so my dad and I would go down there by myself, and we're in the middle of nowhere. I mean, the closest store was called The Store. That's literally the name in Batesville, Texas. And so he would tell me, like, if something ever happens to me, go to the highway. At 9 years old, walk to the highway and flag somebody down, and that's what I did. Now it's just like you call, hey, I'm in trouble. Here's where I'm at. So safety, no harnesses. No one ever wore harnesses to get up in deer blinds and stuff like that.
So I know, like, with the internet and YouTube and Instagram, all these social media platforms now, cell phones, do you feel like it was maybe a little more simple back then? Because I know you like film and stuff for YouTube, and
Right.
You're doing Instagram stories when you're in the woods, but obviously that wasn't like an option back then. So
No.
I imagine that you would be a lot more hyper focused back then because you didn't have any kind of distractions. Do you think that's kind of screwed with people?
It's messed with me. I have been messing with the camera or the cell phone and looked up, and all I see is the hind quarter of a deer. I don't even know what it is, and I could have missed that deer. And when I get bored, you look down like this, and you can't see anything looking straight down.
Yeah.
And so, yes, I do think that it just like driving. It's distracting. The phone is distracting, but I love doing it because that's how kind of it started. I would do my stories and people would comment, I love your stories. I love your stories. So I was like, well, why not put all this footage I have and put it on YouTube? Because that's how it started. I started my YouTube channel probably 10 years ago. And I had videos from bands that I'd worked for. Like my friends' bands, I would video the bands, put it up on YouTube. And then that all got put to the side. And then I had all this video footage, and I've had all this free time while I'm taking care of my mom. So I was like, it's time to do it. So a year ago, I had 13 subscribers on YouTube. Now I have 68, which I am amazed by. It shocks me that I have that many, and 1,000 followers on Instagram. Like my main Facebook page, my own personal Facebook page. If I don't know you, I'm not going to add you as a friend. That's just for people that I'm really personally close to and have known forever. And a couple of people that I like, a couple of celebrities that I, like hunting celebrities. I don't follow regular celebrities because they're all weird. But so that's how I feel about that.
Yeah. So, I mean, sometimes
expound if you need to, if I didn't answer that good enough.
No. Sometimes I feel like, it gets a little complicated with trying to keep stories and Instagram and film a hunt. You sometimes I feel a little bit overwhelmed doing it all. And like, it does take away from the hunt sometimes, but I'm always thinking in the back of my mind, like, I don't know, like I just want the footage and stuff too, because I want to be able to look back on it. So I'm constantly battling with that with myself. I haven't been able to I just know I got to do it. I don't know. Just for me, like doing it seems to be the best option. Like I just feel guilty if I don't do it almost.
There's in the first season of, I put for YouTube, I put it into the seasons because I got to place on August 2nd of 2018. So August starts my new season on the ranch. That's when you get your new tags for Texas and all that. So that's how I have seasons. So anything I do, my main focus of YouTube is the ranch and how I, the first episode I walk on when you see me unlock that gate, that's the first time I've ever walked on that property as the landowner. So, that's why I go through seasons, but I'll put in like there's fishing, like I'm about to work on a 4x4. My buddy and I went down to the beach and he was driving through ravines and over dunes, and people got stuck, and there's kids running their trucks underwater, and I'm like, this is cool. It's outdoors. It's redneck. The funny thing is I'm really not that redneck, to be honest with you. I'm more rock and roll than I am redneck. But
it's like crazy Texas shit going on.
Yeah, we're crazy down here, man. We can go mountain hunting, we can go coastal hunting, we can go plains hunting, we can go. That's what I love about Texas, man. It's gigantic, and carry a gun anywhere you want.
So you are a first-time landowner, right? I
don't even know how to use a tape measure.
Don't know how to use a tape measure.
Right. I've never built anything.
Oh.
I'm what I call soft hands. I'm a soft hand guy. So I rely on people that know how to do that to help. That's what I did.
So you guys offer guided hunts down there?
Well, the original plan was the first year was come and hunt and help me. We had no bathroom. We had no shower, no toilet. We didn't have any beds. We didn't have any. I had a little cabin that was filled with garbage. So I got 3 or 4 friends and said, hey, come help me build this place up, and you and your family can hunt for free. One guy that did the most work, him and his family killed 13 deer.
Why didn't you call me?
Didn't know at the time, man. This is 2018. And then another guy killed 7, another guy killed 7, and I killed 5 because that's how many deer you're allowed to kill in Texas. And literally, I could have killed all 5 deer the first week. Literally, it was been that easy. We have like, I think there's 5 or 6 different sections of Texas. And one is the Edwards Plateau, and the number I heard was around 5 million deer in Texas, and 2.5 million are in my section. They're not, the big ones. They're not. I mean, they get pretty big. Like I just saw one on trail camera that I just found a SD card on the ground, and he's huge, man. He was. I was hunting him all year. Whether did I get him or not, I'm not telling you yet because I still haven't put that up on YouTube yet. I'm this season I haven't put up yet. I had no seasons. Now I'll be season 4 will be starting when I get back from the ranch this weekend.
So you wanted to buy this piece of property so you could stop being kicked off everybody else's, right?
Right. Yeah. And another reason I wanted to buy is to share it with my friends and trade hunts with people. Say this guy hunts in Indiana and Nebraska, or Indiana and Kentucky. I'm sorry, but he wants to invite me up there. Yeah. Well, he gets the invite back down here to trade hunts. I mean, you even though you're on public land, right? You're solely public, right?
Yeah, mostly 90%. Right. Yeah.
And I would love to go public. I've never public hunted. I think it'd be great. I think from listening to you, there's a lot of factors that go into it, and a lot of people suck. But yeah, I was very fortunate and able to do it. And I looked at, I think 6 or 7 different properties, and my property is off the main road is a 12-mile dirt road ride through 2 little water crossings and then onto a private road, which is another 4 miles. So I'm way back there. And as we're driving up, I saw axis bucks, gobblers, whitetail bucks, rabbits, and all kinds of, just before we even get to the gate. And literally we drove through the gate, and my buddy that went with me, after we drove through this property, it was the biggest property and it was the cheapest property. And he goes, did you feel like you just had sex with like the hottest woman ever? I was like, kinda. And he's like, and that's how, I knew right then that this was the place. And I only ended up looking at 6 places. But, you have to really pay attention because I got 3 guys have egress through my property. So they're constantly coming. Anytime they have work done, they're coming through the property. So that's one of the reasons that I was able to afford 180 acres versus generally 100. And still 100 is a big spot, but 180 is bigger. And it was cheaper. I mean, the right time, right place, but it's, owning your own property comes with its disadvantages too, it's expensive. It's expensive.
Oh, I guarantee it. Yeah. I recommend if you're going to try to dive into the public land game that you take some anxiety medicine or some Xanax before you come, because you're going to need it.
That's what I'm saying. But, you seem to, as I can see behind you, you've done pretty good.
Yeah.
On the wall. I'm not at my house. Like I said, I'm staying at my mom's house to help her. So all my stuff's at my house. But I got some hats back there. Like I have a hat collection. Like you can see on this one, when I kill something, I write it on the hat. And then when the hat's full, stick it up on the ranch for display.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah. Never seen that done before.
Yeah. That is Nick's Wild Ride, which is a television show on Outdoor Channel. He gave me that hat. I won that hat in a contest. That's Black Rifle Coffee. That's Ducks Unlimited. And it's got all my limits underneath it. And then that's my hat, which has this logo on it right here, which is for sale.
So your property, what's kind of the long-term goal for that? And do you plan on expanding in the future? Is that an option?
I would love to expand. But here's the thing. Back to the question you asked me about guided hunts. The original plan was to have those guys come lease for a short amount of money and then have guys come do some hog hunting. Like they come down, like I had guys come from Wisconsin to hog hunt, and I charged them $50 deposit, non-refundable. And if they don't kill anything, I don't want any more money, especially if you're coming from Wisconsin, that's a long way. And so the original plan was to sell hog hunts to kind of offset the price. Cause the guys, when they started paying me, were paying $1,000 lease fee for 2 bucks, 2 does, a turkey, all the pigs you can shoot, all the predators you can shoot, all the small game you can shoot for $1,000, which is unheard of. But what
You
started
take PayPal? You take PayPal or what?
I was checks, man. I was like, give me some cash, And so I was going to offset the other prices, so I wasn't having to charge my friends a ton of money. But when Mom got sick, that kind of threw all that. So I've actually had to cancel those guys from Wisconsin 2 times to come back, which kills me. But they understand because I have to be here more than I have to be at my property. So priorities. Everybody's got them. You got a little baby now, I hear.
Yeah. Yeah.
Priorities will show up.
9 months yesterday.
Oh, dang, man. Congratulations, brother.
Grown up fast.
You got a boy or a girl?
Boy. Boone. Nice. After Daniel Boone.
Nice.
Yeah.
Or Boone and Crockett, either one.
Yeah, there you go. Imagine that. You would never think I would come up with a name like that.
So that was the plan. Expansion. I would love to expand. And in fact, one of the guys, the 3 guys that have egress have all been on that place since 1991. They bought their places in 91. My place has changed hands like 3 times. Well, the guy in the back, he was decided to sell his property, but he wanted an astronomical amount of money down, like crazy amount of money down. And he wanted to self-finance it, which I was like, I just couldn't afford it. So it didn't work. But now a new younger guy's moved in and he's feeding protein now too. So it's not just me, because the 2 other guys are super old school, very knowledgeable, but do things old school. Like you were asking about the 90s. He has one trail camera. I have 20. And his place is 20 acres bigger than mine. They didn't kill hogs like I kill hogs. They didn't do raccoons like I kill raccoons. So I've made a huge difference in the animal. But expanding, I would love to expand. But here's my thought on that is I could get more property there, or I could buy property in, say, Oklahoma and have 2 states to hunt. It's a pretty good drive, or hell, even Iowa, or anything like that, or buy property down and duck hunt, because I didn't realize how much I was going to miss duck hunting. I miss it a lot. I didn't, it's a lot of work. That's one of your questions, but it's a ton of work, man.
Yeah. I've never waterfowl hunted. I've always wanted to, but like, it's kind of, maybe I'm making excuses, but it's like one of those things that you got to like have some buddies to go with. Cause it's I'm not going to buy I'm not going to buy a boat and a bunch of decoys and all this stuff and not know, I just don't know anything about it. So
I didn't know anything about it. I've called in 1 duck, and it's because the duck was stupid, because I listened to it's on video and I listened to how bad the duck call was. And I'm like, I can't believe that thing came in. Excuse me. And so I didn't know how to, so I got a dog. I have a very highly trained black lab that now doesn't hunt, because I had to stop doing that so I could shift my priorities to my ranch and my mother, which are the most important things, And so I love duck hunting now. It's a lot of work, man. It's a lot of work, and it's only in the morning if you do it right. Unless you have multiple different places and different areas to hunt, because if you hunt the same area all the time, the birds will stop coming.
Yeah, I have a lab too. She's a hunting dog. But the only thing she hunts is a food dish. So
it's the way he is now. Yeah. Man, he's downstairs right now in my mom's bedroom, probably getting treats. and I spent a ton of money getting him trained.
Yeah,
like a ton. More than I should have, but that's a whole different story.
So when you bought your property, I know you had mentioned to me that some of your deer were looking kind of thin, not looking the greatest. Could you kind of talk about some of the things that you've done to improve habitat and just overall life of the animals?
Sure. So we got there in 2018. We put up trail cameras right away, put out protein right away, because they still had another month to grow antlers, and the season starts here. Both seasons in October, and then rifle season starts in November. So I had August, September, October, November to feed them. Of course, basically by then they're only going to do so much. But we have pictures of deer that literally you can see every rib and every joint in their hips and shoulders, because there were so many deer. I mean, there were times I would sit in the stand and I'd count 15 to 20 deer at one time around the feeder, because I have this much dirt. And then it's rock underneath, total rock. Like, we're going to go put up hog panel this weekend. I have to have a concrete drill. So that's why in my part of Texas, unless you have a ton of money, there's no food plots.
What are those deer eating on?
There's a lot of native grasses, but there's been a lot of overgrazing. I just found out that there's a cedar tree, which everybody in Texas, they're like, cedar's bad. Well, it's really not that bad if it's controlled. But every couple of years, it'll pop out fruit, and they'll eat the little berries off there. And then they eat, acorns, of course, that are out there. Like this year, we had so much rain, and there were so many acorns that I didn't see as many deer because they didn't have to come. And the grass was 3 feet tall, and every year before that, it's been about a foot tall. So they have natural forms. There's obviously so many deer there. So we killed 30 deer that first year off of 80 acres.
Wow.
Which my neighbor, if he ever sees this, he's going to freak out when I say that. But then I talked to a deer breeder not too long ago, and he said I did the right thing. So I killed. This is the way I try to explain it to people. Say you go to a pizza party, right? And there's 20 pieces of pizza, but there's 40 people. Well, half those people don't get a piece of pizza, so they go hungry. So these deer were just trying to eat anything they could. And then I cleared off a bunch of land. Like we cleared some places just to widen our shooting lanes, and we piled up the brush piles so that therefore the new grass grew up. Because when those cedars are like that, there's nothing underneath them. Sunlight doesn't even get in there. So there's no grass. It's just dirt. And so we cleared that off, and then the grass grows, and the animals will eat the grass. And, I didn't want to take down any oak trees because they drop acorns, and, they're good for turkeys too. But we started killing hogs, which were taking some of their food away. We killed, I think the first year we killed 25 to 30 hogs or something like that. And that's with barely trapping. And then the second year we didn't have any hogs. And then last year we killed 30 hogs, and I killed 2 hogs in one day. One was 230 pounds and one was 210 pounds. In the same day, I trapped one and I shot one 6 times with a rifle before it died. Wow. That's all on YouTube. I have 630 views on that one video, and all the rest of them are like 65. So the hog hunting is what people like on YouTube, I guess. But we started feeding all year round. Like my neighbors kind of bitched at me for feeding all year round because they think that hogs are coming because I'm feeding. Well, hogs, according to a biologist that I had come to the ranch, Texas Parks and Wildlife, will send you a guy out from the area for free. And he and I rode around, and he showed me things like, he's like, next time you shove brush, shove it up underneath the oak trees, because those oak trees grow from the root, but the deer eat the top of and that oak tree will never grow because they eat the top off of it, and they needed so much to eat. So we feed protein from about February through September, I guess, roughly. And then we start feeding corn after that. And corn is like candy for deer. It really has no nutritional value. But I also put out alfalfa, and that's like crack rock for deer, man. They love that stuff, man. And, I put out mineral blocks and, stuff like that. And so now, like a big doe the first year was like 80 pounds for our area. Wow. We killed it 2 or 3 does. This year, they were 100, 115 pounds. So in 4 years, they've gained that much weight. And we had a giant 6-point that would come through there, and he would come. My property is basically 1 mile front to corner to corner. And he would see him. He would come from one feeder. He'd be at the next feeder. He'd be at the next feeder. And he would push all the deer off. He's a big 6-point. Well, he got taken out. And since we cleared out the herd, all of the deer, like I'm having trouble judging them now, how old they are, because they all look big. They all look fat, And my old school neighbor, who's very knowledgeable and a great dude, he actually lives in Louisiana and hunts over there. So he drives even further than I do. And he's finally coming out. We needed to kill some more does. So they didn't kill enough does. They kill any hogs hardly at all. And, no raccoons or anything like that, which all those things will eat babies. Raccoons only eat babies for right as they're born, if they even eat them then. But hogs will eat them for sure.
Having fat deer around your property is a good problem to have.
No, we don't see as many as we used to, but the quality of the animal is so much better. And it gives me pride that I'm helping these animals be better. And a lot of people don't understand that killing them has something to do with that,
Oh yeah, definitely does.
And when you kill that many deer, it's I'm a single guy, like I said in the intro, or maybe I didn't say that in the intro, but so I can only eat so much meat a year. So one of my favorite things to do is go give it away. Like I'll have it processed, and then I go to this pretty nice high-end salon where my friend works, and I'll walk in there with a cooler full of meat, and all those girls just stop what they're doing and just come over to the cooler, and they call me the meat man, which is kind of funny in its own right. I had one of them. I had literally, this is probably inappropriate. My mom's going to cringe when I say this, but one of them yelled out, "Your sausage was delicious." Yelled it across this nice salon. And I was like, oh my gosh, I was like, that's funny. So
I had a feeling that's where that story was going.
Right? And then like these, I had some guys come and do work in my mom's yard. So I just grilled up sausage for them in the morning. I'm like, here you go, man. That's like one of my favorite things to do is to give it away. I love eating it. Don't get me wrong. You can't sell it. It's illegal. And, so I just love sharing. And that's why one of the reasons I said I got that property is to share. So like, if you want to come to Texas, bring it. Come on.
Yeah.
Tell me when you're coming
to Texas.
Dude, you don't even have to have a license to hunt hogs. If you want to hunt hogs, you can come this weekend. I'll be there. Wow. And you don't have to have a license. You can come hunt them and shoot them all year round, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. I have lights, everything.
That's wow. That's crazy that you don't have to have a license or anything to do that. I guess it's an invasive thing, but
we'll get to that one later, right?
Yeah.
You got questions about? Okay. Yeah.
So this kind of does bring me to my next question. These hogs, they've got to give you a ton of hell on your property. Kind of talk about the damage that hogs do when it comes to either screwing with other animals, like eating all the deer's food, or maybe just like being destructive in general. I mean, what's the reason nobody really wants hogs on their property?
Well, here's the thing. They cost vegans a ton of money. I'm trying to be funny, but I'm not trying to be funny because it's true. I don't have crops on my property, but if you like where you guys have, if you ever have hogs and you have cornfields, they will mow down a cornfield in no time flat. Like, and if you have horses or cattle, they root with their nose to find grubs and worms and roots and stuff. So these big giant holes. They can't really do that at my place because it's rock. Literally, I'm on a rock. But they have torn up fences. Like you can tell where they just go up underneath the fence and they just keep pushing it up and pushing it up. That's what we're doing this weekend. Is one of my protein feeders had a T-post in the ground and they pulled the T-post out of the ground. And I have pictures of them with their nose. They lift up the gate and then they go into my protein feeder and just bang their head on that thing and it just falls out. And then they eat corn. And you can tell, like you can hear in some of my videos when the deer are standing there. And next thing you know, the deer pop up and they just look and they just take off. And I'm like, here come the pigs. And in 2 or 3 minutes, here they come. The deer hate the hogs. They hate them. And
yeah, I was getting ready to ask you that. Do they run them off? You ever see them kind of tussle with each other?
Not really. I've never seen them get it because the deer leave way before they get there. As soon as they even see them little tiny bacon bits, they just take off and they're like, we don't have anything to do with them. And then the hogs will stay there until every piece of corn is gone off the ground. So therefore, I'm paying to feed hogs, which is a double-edged sword because they're super delicious. The guy from Louisiana says he likes them better than the deer. And in fact, opening the last weekend of the season, he rotisseried a whole hog with a brisket inside it, and it was cooked for like 12 hours. It was so good. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So I didn't get to kill any this year. Spoiler.
Who's faster, the deer or the hogs?
Who's faster?
Yeah.
Oh, that's hard to say, man. We have mountain lions out there. Bobcats, coyotes, foxes, rattlesnakes, big-ass 8-foot bull snakes, which aren't poisonous, but they're big. I worry about the hogs more than I worry about anything else.
Really?
Because they're the most dangerous. We had a guy shot one, and he went looking for it, and he had a revolver, and he carried an empty cylinder, which in my opinion is weird. But I was talking to my mom on the telephone, and I hear him go, ah! And I hear this boom, boom, boom 5 times. And I see this light coming through the woods, and I yell out, I guess you wish you had that 6th shot. And he leaned down and looked for a hog. You look up, and there's 2 hogs from like 10 feet from his face, and they came at him because they're cornered. They'll run over just like every other animal. They'll run first. But when you're walking in the dark, you don't know what's around the next, bush. And I've walked through and had deer pop up right next to me in the dark. It scares the bejesus out of me. I'm not the biggest fan of walking in the dark. I had a big old headlight on, like your thing the other night when you're talking about the headlamp and the light in the tree stand.
Yeah,
I told you I watched, and I'll be in the blind and I'll have it on red, but all the way to the blind, I'm walking. But when you film, as you know, as I watched some of your filming videos, which I think you need to do more of that because I like the way you tell that story. Like in the driving the truck, that's part of the story.
Yeah,
and that's the way I like to tell it because I told you, I watched hundreds and thousands of hours of outdoor television, like on the Outdoor Network and Pursuit Channel and Spotify. That's your channel. Sportsman's Channel. And I went to the Sportsman's Outdoor Fest and met Pigman. Pigman, the series, the most watched television. And I was actually on the show for 3 seconds.
Really?
I was standing in line. Yeah, I actually met him, and he and I talked for a few minutes. I met his manager, his business manager, and talked to them about how do you get your show on the Outdoor Network. Well, you got to have about $500,000 for that. So
Yeah.
that's not happening.
That's big boy money.
Yeah, but if somebody's paying me to hunt like they are, like Loophole and all those other guys, I'd do it in a heartbeat, man.
Yeah.
That would be the ultimate goal. But if I don't ever make $1 on YouTube or $1 for my videos, I'm still going to do it. Like you just said earlier.
It's all about the process and just the fun of it.
So if I was to estimate, half of my feed cost probably goes to feeding hogs, and I'm looking at $600 a month, most probably.
I was getting ready to $600 a month.
That's if I go crazy. That's like I have 180 acres and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have like 8 or 9 feeders.
Wow.
I have more blinds than anybody else in the area does. And what that does for me is it puts less pressure on each individual. I mean, a lot of those deer go all over the place, So the new guy, go ahead.
So you're putting protein, you're mixing protein with corn, right?
Well, I have 2 different types of feeders. We have the gravity on-demand feeder, which has just got tubes, and those are the ones I put the pins around so the hogs can't get in there, and the deer could just jump in there and eat on demand. And then I have the broadcast feeders, which are filled with corn generally, and I have them on timers to where they come on right before sunlight or right before dark, and they spin, and it's like a dinner bell,
Yeah.
But most of the giant deer don't come to that. They don't come because by the time they're old enough to be giant, they figured it out. They're like, hey, like I'll have all kinds of bucks on camera right before the season when I'm feeding protein. And then when I stop feeding protein, some of them go back to wherever they're from.
Yeah.
And that's the gamble you try to play with growing old deer, which is what we're trying to do. I'm trying to grow the biggest deer I can in that place. And I have a picture of one, a giant one that I was after this year, but he's got to be, he's a 130-inch 8-point, which is huge for our area. That's big.
Really.
Yeah, and I don't score. I've never scored a deer in my life.
Yeah, I haven't either. I
don't have any big enough to score. So
me either.
Like I didn't kill a buck last year at all. I didn't kill one because I didn't see the right deer, and so that's where I fight with YouTube in my mind. Is like I got to have footage for YouTube, but I can't shoot the wrong deer just for YouTube.
Yeah.
If I shoot this deer now, he could be a huge deer next year. But fortunately, this last year I killed a ton of hogs. So, and each time I go to the ranch is a video, even if I don't kill anything, because I'm trying to tell the whole story of the ranch. And if I ever go, like if I was to come hunt with you or wherever, Alaska, which would be cool, I want to hunt everywhere. I'd love to trade a hunt with someone from everywhere. So if you're listening and you want to trade a hunt with me, hook it up somewhere. Contact me. And I'm serious, dude. Adam, if you want to come to Texas, come, man. Come on. I ain't gonna charge you. I'll charge you nothing.
I want to shoot a hog so bad.
Dude,
we don't have them around here.
Did you happen to go to my Instagram and see the big red spotted hog that's got teeth about this long on it?
I don't think so.
He probably
will though after this.
200 pounds, probably easy. Those aren't the good ones to eat though. Those really aren't the ones you want to eat.
Yeah, I've heard the small ones are better.
Yeah, 50 to 100 pounds is the perfect sow. And if it's a sow that is either pregnant or has babies, it's even better.
Really?
They all had milk inside there. Like we killed a hog and it probably had 7 babies inside it.
Wow.
I get paid to kill hogs, by the way. I get paid $6 a head by the county.
No kidding.
I get $50 for a bobcat or a red fox, $75 for a coyote, and $100 for a mountain lion.
Wow.
The mountain lion I'm a little iffy on because they're so few and far between. I have no pictures of them. I only have a few pictures of coyotes, but I have gray foxes all over the place. In fact, we killed a gray fox while having lunch at the cabin.
I'd be super interested in killing a mountain lion or a
Right.
gray fox.
Yeah, gray fox. Dude, we have plenty of gray fox. Come on out, man. I got collars. Come on out. Like I've killed a gray fox literally at noon, sitting eating lunch at the cabin. I've killed hogs in my underwear from the cabin while I was taking a nap. We were barbecuing. We killed hogs from the cabin. The guy killed a deer. He walked out and he shot a deer. I've had pictures of deer 10 feet from the front door of the cabin. A buck, a nice 8-point buck. So I got plenty of animals, man. So yeah, come on. If you can come out, man, let's hook it up.
That's some it sounds like some Wild West shit down there.
Oh, dude, you should have heard the opening day. Golly, dude, it's like bang. It feels like you're in a war sometimes. And then it settles down, you know. In the off season, nobody feeds except me. So they all come to me in the off season.
So corn around me is like nothing. Like there's a cornfield by my house. There's
Right.
one, you know, every, I don't know, 0.2 of a mile driving through town. So I am curious, do you buy corn in like 50-pound bags down there?
You can, but what I do, since I'm an absentee land. You said I live on my range. I don't live on my range.
Yeah.
Actually,
Okay.
The cabin is probably as big as this room, you know, and we put 2 bunk beds in it, and there's a couch and a refrigerator and a shelving unit. That's it. And it's filled. And then I have a 33-foot pull behind trailer that I bought 2 years ago. That's on YouTube also, to be a little bit nicer. My bathroom is 100 yards away. You got to walk through the woods to go down to the bathroom. But what was the question? Sorry, I got off on a tangent again.
I want to know what corn costs down there.
Right. So
what's a 50-pound bag of corn cost down there?
Before inflation.
Yeah, let's do before.
When I first started, it was probably $6 a bag. Now it's almost $10 a bag.
Yeah, so that's it's not any different than here.
Yeah, I have my feeders are 600 pounds, so do the math on that.
Wow.
You know, but what I generally do is the feed store I use will come out and they charge you a mileage fee and then a $5 to fill the feeder fee. But they bring out this giant hopper with the generator on the back and it just blows corn into that thing. And you don't have to lift it. And, you know, for someone that's not there, that's an easy way to do it. You know, so he'll do the same thing with the protein. They'll come out and do the protein.
Yeah, if you're ever there when they're filling your feeders, you should shoot a video of that, because I don't think very many people know that that's like a thing, like people blowing corn into feeders. Right. I've never seen that.
Have I? I know I got him on camera somewhere, but he doesn't really like to be. This guy's an interesting guy. He's a small town, man. Has one light in it, like literally one.
Yeah.
2 subways though. We got 2 subways.
One horse
one,
town.
one McDonald's, and one Dairy Queen, and one Sonic. That's it. But he's an interesting dude. He comes out and I'll ride around with him, and he just talks about work, and his daughter's in like every sport known to man, and he and I've got a kind of a cool relationship, and you know he'll come out and you know he'll tell he didn't tell me this, but he was picking sheds up and taking them home with him. I'm like, you son of a bitch, leave that, because we didn't find any. You asked about how the deer have changed. We didn't find the first year we didn't really shed hunt too much. And in fact, I really haven't shed hunt. There's actually almost a quarter of my property that I've barely ever even been in. Like it's our sanctuary. Like I leave it alone. We don't go in it. I mean, it's probably a quarter. So, but that giant buck that I've been telling you about, he's coming from that direction. So I'm not going back there. You know, maybe one day I will, because my blinds came with the place. They came with the feeders and the blinds already. So I don't have to buy any of that. And it had really cheap plastic PVC blinds. You'll hear, if you watch any of my videos, and you'll hear them popping. And I complain about it. I'm like, these sorry sons of bitch blinds. So last year I bought 3 fiberglass blinds, and we actually made our first blind specifically that we made, instead of just keeping them where they were, because you know we were in such a rush to get everything going. And every time I go down there, it's always work. And you know, and then it's like, oh, we get to hunt a little bit, you know. And my friends like to work, and I'm like, okay, we're back from the blind. It's 30 minutes. Let me go back to the blind. I want to go back. I want to sit here and watch animals all day. Like I've never hunted all day, like sat in a stand all day, because I either have to go let my dog out or I have to do some work. One of these days I'll be able to do that.
You'll get there. There. It takes time.
It's a good problem to have. Let me put it that way.
That's a good problem to have. So back to the hogs. I always hear people say, I hate hogs. They do so much damage, blah, 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 blah.
You hate them until you don't have them to shoot, like I did this year.
So I'm getting ready to ask you, you had the ability with the snap of your finger to totally eliminate the hogs.
Nah.
Are you going to do it?
No. I would like to thin them. Like the biologists say, you have to kill 65% of the herd just to maintain that level. That's a lot.
Wow.
So if they were all gone, it's less things I get to shoot and eat, man. That's how I look at that.
Yeah.
I would like if there were less, but there's not. And they've been here since like the 1600s when the Spanish brought them here. I've done a lot of research on hogs, by the way. A lot of reading. Let me put it that way. They can go 3 or 4, 5, 6 days without food, but they can only go a day and a half without water, or their kidneys start to fail. So I don't have water on my place, like no live water and no ponds, because it's limestone. So just sinks into the ground. Right at the front gate where everybody comes in, I have a water trough that's run by a windmill, and we've made 2 rain catchers for the deer, but it doesn't rain there that often. So, it's very cold there and it's very hot there. Like it was 112 last July while we're working on our stripper pole base is what we call it, which is just this 14 by 10 platform that's angled into a gutter, which goes into this big cattle pool. So we call it our stripper pole base. But so I made that. We made another small one that contains. So water is the thing, but I would not want them to go away. No, not totally, because they're delicious and they are really fun to shoot. And I have some things planned for them this season, hopefully. So you're going to ask me that question later too.
So, what's the deal with exotic animals in Texas? All
right, so exotics were brought over many, many years ago. Axis deer are the number one exotic that they have. And I've eaten axis before. You're going to ask me that too. But I've eaten it. It's, if not better than whitetail, it's close. It's equally as good, if not better. The aoudad, on the other hand, you'll hear people tell you that they're the most horrible thing that they've ever eaten. And aoudad is an African Barbary sheep. So exotics were brought to Texas years and years ago. In fact, they were brought to Hawaii. And if you ever want to go to Hawaii, there's an island that's overrun with axis. I mean, like overrun. They're like really? A problem. Yeah, I would love to go to Hawaii to go hunt axis, but there are like my place is free range. The closest high fence ranch that I know of is 5 miles away. That's the one I know of. I don't know what's, it could be 3 plots over. There could be a big one I don't even know about it. But I've seen giant axis on his place. But this year on the first day of the season, I think it's the first day of the season, I saw my first axis, like visually saw it. I've got pictures of axis and aoudad and black buck. And black buck are from India, I believe, and there are more black buck in Texas and scimitar horned oryx than there are in Africa.
That's weird.
And it's all because of hunting. This guy's hat right here, Nick's Wild Ride, he went over to Africa and he did a conservation episode. And I think it's in Namibia. They put value on their animals and stopped having, like, the villagers make money by having crops and cattle. So habitat loss, biggest thing, worst thing for animals ever. And all those people that want to eat Beyond Meat, you're killing animals because you're taking their habitat away. If you want to eat, that's fine, but don't force that on me because I got sharp teeth. That's what I got. Anyway,
that's right.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Where did these exotic animals come from? I mean, like some guy just go take a trip on some boat and just stick a bunch of animals on it and bring them back, or what?
That's how the hogs got here.
Why? Why Texas? Why are they bringing them all to Texas for?
Because Texas has those big, huge ranches. More than most places. I mean, there's that big high fence ranch that I was telling you about. That's like 12,000 acres, man.
Yeah.
So that fence alone is millions of dollars.
You think it's about the heat too, about the warmth?
They're from India. So,
yeah.
Most of those things are from India. And so it's pretty hot. But I mean, like this last 2 years ago, we had that really bad 5-day freeze. My well broke again. I just had to pay for that twice, 2 years in a row. That's about $3,500 because it froze and, the power shut off for 5 days. Well, those axis aren't used to that. The whitetail can handle it. They're kind of used to it. I mean, obviously they live in Saskatchewan, but you'll never see an axis because they couldn't handle that. Even though they're a much bigger animal, they're like 200 pounds. Man, they're big, and a lot of them died. A lot of these exotics died. And black buck won't jump a fence unless they have to. And I've got several pictures of the group of females. And actually, I killed one on a high fence ranch that I went to previous, but you're going to ask me about that, I think. I went and hunted a couple of high fence ranches for meat before I had my spot. My personal opinion on high fence ranches is it's legal. Do it. You want to hunt hogs with dogs? Do it. I don't want to hunt hogs with dogs. That's just not my thing. But I don't care if you do it. If you're hunting legally, have a great time. And don't bitch at me for having a feeder when you have dirt to plant in, kind of that thing. But the exotics they did bring them over on boats. And in Africa, the king of somebody gave the king of the Hawaiian people at the time axis as a gift. Started with 3 axes, and now they've overrun one of those islands, like literally overrun. You can just go everywhere, and they're just everywhere. They're kind of like hogs over there. Nobody kills them, except hogs don't have any natural predators at all. So, but and then you'll have like a big flood come through, and it'll push down one of those high fences, and there they go, or a fire, or I've heard stories of people going and cutting the fence just so they can get out, which is horribly bad. And there's people that hate high fence. They hate it. Like this guy that's near me, apparently someone just put up a high fence, and he's like, I watch the deer trying to get through and they can't go. And that is the truth. But on 12,000 acres, they can go anywhere they want to. 100 acres, you're basically shooting a deer in a pin, in my opinion. But if you're going on a meat hunt like I did, what's the difference between going to a stockyard and saying, I want that cow? There's no difference, in my opinion. Then I'm going to shoot that deer. But that way I got to keep its hide and everything. Personally, a giant deer on a high fence property for myself wouldn't be as exciting as if it was on my place, which is low fence. I would never buy a high fence myself personally, but if that makes you happy, do it. That's how
I'm gonna jump into some high fence stuff here in a second, but I do have a question that kind of popped in my head. So let's say I don't know, somebody cut a fence, a high fence somewhere 4 miles down the road from you. All of a sudden you see like a giraffe walk across your piece of property or something,
which I've seen in the hill country, by the way.
Are you allowed to shoot it? Grit is a small creative agency that specializes in helping outdoor industry brands of all sizes grow their business. At Grit, they help develop branding and create advertising materials to increase awareness and drive traffic. To learn more about Grit's services and portfolio, you can visit www.downtogrit.com, or you can inquire by email at info@downtogrit.com.
Well, that's that.
Because there's no regulation on it, right?
Right. There's no season. There's no regulation. Exotic animals, you can shoot 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, and there's no limit. Yeah. Same with hogs. But like if a deer walks up and it has a tag, like a lot of people, like if you watch the high fence video, there's a huge deer called Little Stickers, and he got a big old green tag in his ear. Well, that's so they know what deer it is and they don't want to shoot it. And if you shoot that deer, it's $10,000. That's a lot. Mm-hmm. Think how many public land hunts you could go on for $10,000, but you're not going to see 180-inch whitetail, most probably. It happens. It does happen.
You might,
especially up in your area, man.
You might around here.
Yeah, y'all steer. I drove through West Virginia coming back from my sister lived in Boston, and we drove back. So I got to drive through Kentucky. Beautiful state, man. Holy cow. But I saw deer in West Virginia, and I was like, what is that? Because, like I told you, a big deer here is 100 pounds.
Yeah.
They're golly, man. They're like little mini elk. And that's what they call Axis, poor man's elk. That's what they call Axis. And
100-pound deer here is like a yearling.
Right? Well, that's the way mine are getting. I mean, they're not quite that big, but we killed a doe, and it was a couple years old, and it was over 100 pounds. I was excited. I was like, yeah.
So the high fence hunting, to me, and I have a removed perspective kind of on it because I've never really been around it. So maybe I'm just, being an asshole about it, but it almost feels dirty to me.
Right.
It almost feels like it's maybe tainted or something from just like,
for sure,
from people messing with the animals and putting them in this high fence. And I don't know.
If you go look at my high fence video, you'll see us driving and they're just standing there looking at you like from like 20 yards because they're there all the time. And this place is only 400 acres, which is twice the size of my place. And it's still, I'm with you. Like if I killed a giant buck there, I'd be like, I killed a giant buck on my place. I'm going to freak out.
Yeah.
Like the first buck I killed on my place. This is kind of embarrassing, but I got so excited that my buddy heard the video from the other room and thought I was having an orgasm. I wouldn't get that way on a high fence.
Yeah.
I don't, but if it makes you excited, like I said earlier, if it makes you excited, please go do it, but I'm with you. I wouldn't feel as good about it. Let me put it that way. I have a hard time paying for the mount because like we would safari style around. However, I tried it for 2 years to get an Axis doe and they had plenty of, but I could never get on them. I could never get a shot enough to where I would take the right shot at a doe. I mean, a big buck standing there. We had a huge buck on camera, a huge Axis, but they're very few and far between because they like open country, which my place is thick, and they like water, which I don't have any of that.
What do you kind of think the success rate is for like high fence? Is it pretty like 100% or like
no.
Maybe not 100% because you said you couldn't
close.
get on that one, but yeah.
Right.
It's,
if we really like 2 of us were hunting axis. I let this guy shoot an axis in the same blind. And then I could have shot this little tiny axis like 10 feet from the cabin probably. And I was like, I'll wait. And then it didn't happen. So
Yeah.
It's not 100%, but your chances are better.
Pretty
No matter,
likely,
even on that
yeah.
12,000 acres, because they can't get off that property. But 12,000 acres is a pretty big area. And I would feel better about that than I would if, like I said, that guy, my neighbor has 160 acres and he was talking about high fencing it. I'm like, that's just why? I mean, unless you're going to breed deer or breed axis and then sell them, then that's fine. But yeah, I'm with you. It doesn't feel as good to me. That's just me.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
I don't have anything against it. I don't think it's just, I think for me, it's just not for me, you know.
One of the cool things is you get to see animals you'll never see, like those oryx and all that stuff. You get to draw like springbuck and all these different types of animals that it's like going on like a mini safari.
Poor man's safari.
Pretty much. Yeah. And like, I shot that black buck doe. The first year I shot a whitetail doe for $200. And I believe the female black buck was $250. And an axis doe would have been $400. And then if you kill a buck, it goes by the number of inches of antler. That's how they decide the price.
Oh.
But an axis buck's like 2,500, something like that. And that's on that one place. I've only been to one high fenced ranch, and I went there twice just for meat hunts before I had a place to go, because I don't need to meet now. I can just go. I can go. Literally, I could probably fill all my tags sitting on the front porch of the cabin if I wanted to.
How tall are the fences?
Your normal fence is going to be about 3 or 4 feet tall, but a high fence is almost 8 feet.
8 feet. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, they vary obviously, but I'm 6'3" and I can barely touch the top. I can almost touch the top of them.
Yeah,
but like if something digs up underneath the fence, they can get out that way. Like black buck will go under the fence; they just won't go over it. And a deer can actually jump an 8-foot fence if they really, 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 really want to. If they're really scared and they're on full run, that doesn't happen, but it does occasionally happen.
It's some Alcatraz shit.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I know you said you've ate axis. Have you had, what kind of like wild exotic animals have you eaten?
I've eaten axis burger or steak. I can't believe. And I killed that black buck and I made, I just did everything I normally would make, tacos and spaghetti and hamburgers and all that stuff. And then I've had scimitar horned oryx once. I had a little piece of that. Buddy brought that to the duck camp and I had a little piece of that, but that's pretty much the only ones I've had. But axis is really, really, really good, man. It's like really good. The scimitar horned oryx was good, but I had a small piece of that. I had deer heart for the first time the other day.
First time killing all those deer and not saving the hearts?
Right. I didn't know about it. I mean, it's not something that I ever thought about. I mean, like we don't take the rib meat in our deer because it's just almost pointless because they're so small, and I never thought about the deer and I didn't know how to cook it. Well, this guy, this will be on video upcoming on YouTube as well. And he grilled it up and it was chewy as all get out, but it had good flavor. I mean,
you're talking about the heart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but
you should try pan frying it in a little bit of butter and some garlic powder and a little bit of olive oil, salt and pepper.
So you're talking dirty. You need to do a podcast on cooking.
Yeah,
wild game. I think that'd be cool. I'd totally watch that.
Yeah,
you're gonna ask me about duck. You're asking me about duck here in a minute. I got something to tell you about that.
So that does bring me to my next question. Talk a little bit about duck hunting on the Texas coast. Kind of describe what duck hunting is like down there, and maybe run us through like what a typical duck hunt would look like.
Well, it all depends on what part of Texas you're. The coast, Texas coast is pretty big. You have the Laguna Madre down by Corpus, and you hunt not sea ducks, I guess, but you hunt in the Gulf. Where I hunted, it was salt marsh, but it was brackish because I had a river on one side and a lake on one side because ducks use the river to travel. And then we had grassy marshes. So we would get in an airboat, drive, you ain't walking out there. Because like they used to make fun of me because I'd fall all the time. And they're so used to walking, they shuffle the way. I'm 6'3" and my center of balance is right about here. So I fall.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of work. Duck hunting is a ton of work. You got to build those blinds out there. At least that's how we did it. But if you hunt in the rice paddies on East Texas, it's a little different. But you hunt at the north, you're hunting in dry fields, which is by far my favorite way to hunt because when you're in the water, it's cold, it's miserable. Like I went on the worst hunt I've ever been on over in East Texas, and it was just pouring down rain, and the water was up, and it was freezing, and the birds weren't moving. The guide was late, and there was tons of birds, but they wouldn't commit because the wind was so bad, and it was just miserable and freezing.
What's
Duck
cold?
hunting,
What's cold to you?
well, 65.
Oh gosh,
I'm just kidding. No, it got there. Like when it gets into the low 40s for a Texas boy like myself, it's pretty cold. But I can stay at 112 degrees and humidity, and it doesn't bother me.
40s is my favorite. If I could pick anything to live in, I'd live in 40 degrees.
I would hunt that. When it was 20. The last deer I killed after my dad passed away, I was in the blind and you could see the ice. And I have a little buddy heater in the blind with me. And that's the only time I've ever done that. And I'll probably never do it again because I felt like I was cheating. I got enough clothes. You put enough clothes on, you're fine. But if the back of my neck or the nape of my back or my feet get cold, it's over.
Yeah,
I can't handle I've never hunted in snow or ice.
Huh.
I killed a hog right before that big storm that we had 2 years ago. It had already iced over, and I killed a hog while I was sitting in the cabin.
Was that the one? Was that the one when your governor went on vacation?
I don't know what you mean.
When they had like that ice storm and there was
that was Ted Cruz.
Okay.
Yeah, he went down there for one day. Yeah, that was Ted Cruz. Yeah, that storm. That's exactly what I'm talking about. And I'm glad I left because we didn't have power for 5 days. And inside the cabin, inside the refrigerator, an aluminum can blew up because it froze. And then my chest freezer that I have down there had big bags of ice in it, and not one ice cube melted. But it did freeze my well and blow it up. And then that happened again this year too. So
wow,
I got to figure out how to keep that from happening. But I think I put a drain. I had to put a drain on it this time so I can just drain it and leave it. Because if you lose power, the heater stops.
Yeah.
And like the other day, the last week of the season, we had cooked beans in a pot and I put a spatula in it. But when we woke up, that whole thing was frozen solid. So I held it upside down. It was like 19 degrees. That's cold, man. I don't care where you are. That's cold.
19 degrees. That's man. I feel that right now in November, and I can almost smell the air. Oh,
like it was.
I'm drilling at the mouth at 19 degrees.
It was 56 degrees this morning. I put a sweatshirt on. Let me put it that way.
So, let's talk about eating duck.
Okay.
Let's talk about like the process of cleaning a duck and cooking a duck. Maybe some of your recipes that you like to use for. I've never cooked
duck. I'll be honest with you. I personally never cooked duck, except when the way it worked down there is we kill a lot of teal, which teal are a very tiny bird, and they migrate from Canada to Argentina. So they come first. So Texas in September, you have teal only season. You're only allowed to kill teal. And, the last few years, it hasn't even gotten cold, really, so to speak of, before hunting season. So the birds didn't get pushed down here. If their food isn't frozen, you're not going to get the birds down here as many. But so teal are really delicious. They eat vegetables. Ducks that eat fish have a muddy, gamey flavor to it. First time I ever had duck was my uncle had made it into snack sticks. It was so good. Oh my God, it's so good. Yeah. And then we kill duck. And what we normally do is you just breast it out. Like teal are yay big. They're really tiny birds, but and they have a tenderloin inside the breast. So you cut the breast out. There's this little sliver of meat that you take off. It's like a tenderloin on a deer. And that is really, really good. And I had duck, deer, and pork all made into sausage links one time. And it was really good. But one of the best things I've ever eaten is one of the guys at the duck camp, one of the older guys, knew the people from Landry's restaurant, not Landry's Now restaurant. Landry's is a seafood restaurant and a restaurant down here. I don't know if they have them up north. You have Landry's up there? Sawgrass Steakhouse and all that?
No.
It's all owned by Tillman Fertitta, who owns the actual Rockets. But
never heard of it.
Okay. Well, Landry's
Texas Roadhouse here.
Texas Roadhouse is owned by Willie Nelson, I think. No, it's Willie's Roadhouse.
Is it?
Yeah, Willie Nelson's like my hero, even though he and I don't agree politically, but he's like
sounds like we know what you do on the side in your free time.
What's that? Listen to music? Oh, well, no comment.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, back to ducks.
But that has happened before because I did work for bands for a long time. Like season 1, all the music you hear in season 1 are bands that I worked for.
Okay.
And are friends of mine. And a lot of it sucks. But no, so what he would do is he would get the teal, right? And he would beat it like chicken fried steak with a mallet.
Okay.
And then he would put Lowry seasoned salt on it. And then he put Lowry seasoned salt in the flour. And he would fry it in a cast iron skillet. And we killed 96 birds one day in that field. In that the whole marsh. We all limited. That's on video somewhere. It's all GoPro footage with me going like this. So
Yeah.
That's before I had a big camera. That's before I had my nice 4K camera, which now I have 2. So that's what's up. One of the things that's upcoming is I have other people going to film for me now too. But so he beat it, and then he deep fried it, and then when he was done, then he made a gravy out of the drippings and the tenderloins. So you have this fried duck with this gravy over rice. And dude, I'm telling you, it was like eating fried tenderloin, like fried back, like, oh, so good. I can't even, it's making my mouth water, man. Seriously. If that was at a restaurant, I'd order it every single time. But a lot of people don't like duck. They say it tastes like liver. I've never had that. I've never had that. But, also, what is your duck eating? If you're eating sea ducks that are eating saltwater, or if they go down into the mud and pull them seeds out, they get that muddy taste. But it's just like deer. If you take care of it, it's going to be good.
Yeah.
But and then when I was working in the restaurant, I had these duck fillets, and this executive chef was there giving advice to the cooks and trying to get new dishes. So he pan-seared this duck, and he put this cranberry glaze over the top of it with these sauteed vegetables. Oh, so good, man. It was so, but if you don't know how to cook duck, you can really screw it up. Yeah.
Same thing with deer.
Yeah. And deer, my buddy made, I killed some, you can really screw up some deer bad. But my buddy, he made a goose pastrami one time, and it was pretty good. I had it on a sandwich, but we would mainly make it into sausage because it's just easier. That's what I did with it anyway.
Take it back to its home. When you want to go duck hunting again, put that sausage in your pocket.
Oh, dude, that's the greatest. I love doing that. I even put on my videos, eating deer while hunting deer.
Yeah.
There's a place, Midway Meat Market, that has really done me a solid, and they make the best freaking deer Slim Jims. I could literally make myself sick eating them. I have made myself sick just eating deer Slim Jims. It's so freaking good, man.
Yeah, I always try to. One of my goals this year, and I achieved that goal, is venison, like summer sausage or whatever, the rolls.
They make good summer sausage too.
I am so sick of running out of it. So this year I was like, yep, I'm having 3 deer made into summer sausage. So I think I rolled home with like 80 or 90 pounds of it.
Nice.
Yeah,
because you can eat that whenever, man. You don't have to cook that.
Yeah. I don't, and I hate like being like, gosh, like it's June or it's May and I got like 10 rolls left and I gotta like ration it out. Now I just like, I want some, I just go in the freezer and I don't even worry about it. Like, I don't know. It's just
I have 2 freezers at the house.
Yeah.
And I actually have 3 freezers at the house, but sausage is my thing, dude. I love sausage. It's just so good. Like I'll make, ground deer they make tamales for me. Like all my stuff is done at Midway Meat Market, and we've been using them since I was a kid. And fortunately, I'm gonna give them a little shout out here. They did me a huge solid. They started following me on Instagram, and I started chatting with them. Long story short, they bought 40 of these from me for their employees to wear during the season.
Wow.
Which was really cool, man. I was so blown away because me and my buddy had made shirts just kind of because that's what I did in bands. I sold merchandise and promoted and videoed and did all that. And so we had already had these shirts, but they wanted the certain type of shirt that you could only find at Walmart. And I ended up having to go into 15 Walmarts to find
cheap shirts, right?
Yeah, but they were super soft, man. Like they're only sold at, and I had to go to 15 Walmarts, including one that's 300 miles away, to get the shirts for them. And because I sold 15 shirts here or there. I'm not thinking that I'm going to be merchandise crazy, even though I have sweatshirts, hats. There's a hat right there. That one right there. Sorry, I've got to go over that right there. It's the same logo, just camouflage. But I have sweatshirts, bandanas. As you see, I gave you a bandana.
I got it right here.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I just think those are fun. I mean, I wear them in the blind every once in a while. So since you're bringing that up right now, if you go to the website, I don't know, when are you going to make this live? Or is it live right now? Or are we live right now?
No, we're not live right now. We're just recording, but that's to be announced.
Okay, well, because right now I have, if you go to my website and use the code Hunt the Wild, you get 10% off everything you order.
Oh, see, sneaking that in on me. I didn't know about that.
Yeah. But see, I need to know when you're going to put it live because it actually starts right now, and I want to wait till I need to restart it. So whenever you decide, let me know.
Okay.
Whenever you're going to post, because I want to post about it too. I'm like, hey, everybody go check it out. I want to do that too. So.
Heck yeah. What's the meat company? We'll give them a shout out.
Midway Meat Market.
Midway Meat Market. What town is that in?
Katy, Texas. It's 50 miles from my house. That's how far I go to take that.
Yeah. I know what that's like. I drive an hour if I take one to processor too. So
if I ever move closer to the ranch, which will be further, I will always bring a deer to Midway Meat Market for the Slim Chims.
Anybody needing good stuff down in Texas, Midway Meat Market.
Yeah, Katy, Texas. And
there you go.
And then Payne Brothers Firearms, who's right down the road from them, had us make 50 shirts for them. So we actually had to buy a press to make our own shirts for all this. So if anybody needs shirts made and you already have a logo, hit me up on the website. We can make shirts for you.
There you go. So I want to dive into small game hunting. I know that's not like a big subject anymore. That's more of like an old timers thing. And like dudes don't really
so
like
that's why you're asking me.
Dudes don't really like that anymore, I guess. They're all about like trying to kill this big elk or this big deer. But man, I love to shoot squirrels. Like,
dude, I haven't eaten squirrel in forever.
What kind of small game do you guys got down there? You got anything like weird, exotic small game down there? Running around some like, I don't know, little baby Sasquatches or something,
chupacabras, something like that. No, we definitely have squirrel, and we have black-eared jackrabbits, which are probably this big. They're huge, man, and they're not as good to eat. And part of the reason that I pushed the brush over and left the piles is because it's good for rabbits and quail. Like I had no quail, no turkeys, and no cottontail rabbits the first year. And now I'm seeing all of those. Like I have one picture with 25 turkeys in it from last spring, which we had one sighting and picture the entire first year that I was there. And then we had no quail. And then I saw a covey of like 15. Well, now I was going through trail cameras and I have cottontails again. And that comes from killing the foxes, basically, and the raccoons. But that's pretty much the small game that when we have quail and dove out there, of course, but that's not really small game. But that's really the only small game we have. And I would love, actually, while we were working on clearing land, there was a squirrel running. I had a little stagecoach shotgun, which is a real tiny, real short gun. And I tried to shoot this squirrel. And I couldn't hit it. I couldn't hit it at all. And I say in the video, if it was a duck, I could hit it. And then one of my duck friends goes, quit lying to people like that. You can't hit ducks at all. So yeah, I have rabbits, a couple of rabbits and squirrels. I mean, squirrels up in my feeder all day long. I mean, they just climb up in the feeder and spin that damn thing. Same with the raccoons.
What would you say? It was like a black rabbit or something? A
black-eared jackrabbit.
Yeah. So what's that look like?
It's huge, dude. It's like their ears are probably this tall, and your cottontail is going to be about this big. Well, this thing's about this big. I mean, maybe I'm exaggerating, but
yeah, 2 or 3 times the size.
Easily. Yeah. And they're a little tougher and a little stringier from what I've told, but people do eat them. But I've let my nephew kill one because he came down there and he had never hunted before. So that week he got to kill a jackrabbit. He killed a porcupine. He killed a hog, and so he got to kill all these things. He wouldn't touch the porcupine. That was unique. They have feet they have padded feet like a dog. And there's a video on one. We walk up on them. I'm probably this close to it because they're slow. As long as you don't touch them, they're not going to do anything. But they have real heavy padded feet. And they eat a lot of corn, and they'll climb up into my alfalfa feeders and get into the middle of the alfalfa and start moving the alfalfa around.
What's porcupine taste like?
I've never, I want to mount one though, but I'm going to take that to the taxidermy and be like, here you go. Yeah. Like right now I have a possum in the freezer.
Oh yeah. Gonna mount that?
No. Well,
we're going to eat that.
My taxidermist told me they wouldn't mount it. No, I'm definitely not going to eat it. But the guys that came from Wisconsin took 2 raccoons home to eat. Like we trapped raccoons. Like I trap raccoons because they eat eggs and turkeys and quail. Yeah. And since we've done that, we have a lot more of those things. But they skinned it and took it home. Like I have video on the internet. Yeah. And I was like, oh,
that's not super. That's not super strange around my parts. It's pretty common.
They're from Wisconsin, so they're kind of up there by you. They're a little northern than we are. But they said possum is greasy. That's what he told me.
Yeah.
But I want to do the Euro mount of the head. But my taxidermist that I used already told me no. They're like, we don't do that. They're like, if it was a foreign possum, he's like, I don't know why they won't do it, but they won't even do the Euro mount. So I want to either a Euro mount or a mount of every animal that I've ever harvested, killed, slash.
Yeah.
And I have a bunch of mounts at the house, but not here.
I'd like to have a lot of mounts too, but I don't have pockets that deep nor a house big enough, I don't think.
Right. Well, see, I have both of those problems at this point. But my sister lives at my house, and she's not a hunter. And there's 2 shoulder mounts, 2, 4, 6, 7 Euro mounts, and probably 12 ducks and some geese. So she just sits around all my antlers and is like, "Oh, it's dead animals." She's not anti-hunting. She's not anti-hunting by it. She'll eat it, but she don't like killing anything. I'm trying to get her to kill a hog, and she still doesn't want to do it.
She'll get there, maybe.
I hope so.
So
you hear me talking to you?
So what kind of content can your viewers expect to find on YouTube in 2022? You got any big plans for this year?
I haven't put up the 2021 season yet, and it involves some of the biggest deer that I've ever seen on my place. And I'm just going to leave it at that because I don't want to give away anything. But there'll also be a 4-wheel drive episode coming. My buddy got a new Tundra, and we went down to the beach, and we were driving around on the dunes and through these little water holes, and we found these younger people that didn't have a hard time tearing up their truck. And, so there's 3 different vehicles that go off-roading. There's a Jeep, a Tundra, and a Dodge Ram, and one of them gets stuck. And I like stuck. And they were going through some, so that's just something different. I would like to do more archery hunting, because the only time I have ever archery filmed was the first day I archery hunted and the first day I ever self-filmed. And I shot 3 arrows that day, all in one sit. I hit an animal, I missed an animal, and then I hit an animal and didn't find it. So, and then one camera I had a stationary camera, and then my good camera. The first camera, I got it right with this camera. Second camera, I only got it with this one. But the third one, I finally get it right with both. And I was hooked on self-filming after that. And I'd like to do more archery hunting. I'd like to do pistol hunting, like deer hunting with a pistol, because I've never done that. Then I have some, my ultimate goal is to go all over the place. I'd love to go to, technically, I'd like to hunt every state. I know that's an ambitious and very expensive goal, but I would love to do that. I mean, I'd love to kill an elk. I'd love to kill a moose. I'd love to kill a bear. I mean, none of that stuff's ahead of time. And it's hard for me to say that, because my time is basically here, being my mom's primary caretaker. She's not well, but physically she has a hard time doing things like cooking and taking out the garbage and doing that kind of thing. And she doesn't have a driver's license anymore. And that's several medical issues. So my priority is here, and it has to be, that's just the way things are. So right now things have slowed down, and that's what kind of sucks about, especially YouTube. I've noticed that, because I didn't even watch YouTube videos up until 8-10 months ago, to be honest with you. And now when I started posting my videos, I wasn't ever thinking about making money on YouTube.
Yeah.
Would I like to make money on YouTube? Sure. But they don't like the words like gun and kill.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I want to change that, because that's not me. And Pigman, the guy on television that I told you about, he told me, he's like, if you can't be yourself on your videos, no one's going to watch you. And I firmly believe that. And so if I never make a dime on YouTube, I'd be okay with that. And if I make money on YouTube, I'd be okay with that too, because any money that I make doing this kind of just all goes back to the ranch, including shirts and stuff like that. It all goes into the ranch. I don't take it out and party, because I don't do that anymore. I did a lot of that back in the day.
Too old for that now, huh?
Yeah. Hangovers suck, man.
Yeah.
I don't know why it took me so long to realize that, but hangovers suck, And, when you take care of a loved one, which I'm now on my 5th year in a row, since I've got the place. My dad had cancer when I bought it. And unfortunately, he did not be able to make it to the ranch before he passed. But he passed on the first season. But he got to see my first 2 bucks off the place. So that was cool. My mom won't ever be able to go, because she just physically can't do it. And but she gets to watch. She watches all these YouTube videos, and she's like, "It's so good." I'm like, "Yeah, you're so biased. You think everything I do is good." Yeah. But and like I was trying to explain to her a podcast, and she asked me, "So are you nervous?" I'm like, "Am I nervous to talk about hunting? Are you kidding me? I can talk all day about hunting."
It's like second nature, yeah.
Right. And so I just love doing it, man. And like, I'll video my hunts for the rest of time. I bought another whole camera setup. Like I have, I don't know what I did with it, but I have a Sony 4K. So I bought a whole nother setup, so whoever hunts with me can video their hunt, because they'll like to do it on the cell. Like, it's what I don't understand about YouTube is you have these people that have 30,000 views, and all they're using is their cell phones. No Zoom, there's no nothing. And and I'm happy that they're doing it. But then yet on my videos, I'm like, well, why? And then I used to fight over, should I do this for YouTube or should I do this? And I'm like, you know what? Just do it for yourself. And that way it'll be good. And that's the way I'm going to do it. So,
Yeah.
you know, I was like, do I really need to do seasons? You know, no. And then everybody's got their catchphrase, which mine is hunt hard. And that came from my dad. He's like, you got to hunt hard today. Like I saw 2 bobcats one time. He's like, you were hunting really hard. That's where that came from. And of course that has to do with rock and roll. So, you know, that's how I came up with all that.
Yeah, I mean, you just kind of got to get, like you said, you got to do the filming for yourself. And ultimately, it doesn't really matter what you think about the video. It's kind of like the audience gets to decide if it's good or not.
Sure.
You know, you might think it's the best video on the planet and you might get like 2 views, and then you like post a video and you're like, this is garbage. And you know, the next thing you know, it's got like 1 million views overnight. Just like, I don't know. It's a YouTube and all that stuff's a weird world. So you just kind of post it and see what happens. And if it doesn't take off, who cares? And if it does take off,
right. Yeah.
Who cares?
I didn't start video in my hunts because I was thinking about making money.
Yeah.
I did it because I make a book every year of everything that's killed at the ranch. If there's a picture taken, I make a book, a hardback book, and it stays at the ranch. I went to school for television broadcasting. One of the many things I went to college for and never finished. But I went to television broadcasting, and unfortunately, I had some medical issues which kept me from finishing that. But I actually did really well in that. And my ultimate goal was to be the Astros announcer, which is what my real goal was. But now, if I had an ultimate goal, it would be to be on the Outdoor Channel, because you could be famous in the cool world, and then the regular world doesn't know who you are. You know, so you know that would be the ultimate goal with that. But like I said, if I ever make $1 off of YouTube, I'll be okay with it.
So, are you offering hunts right now at your ranch, or
not right now?
Okay.
Until I can't. In my mind, like when I started this, the guys hunted for free, like I told you, and the next year I told you they paid $1,000. Well, I was running it as a family lease, so they would want to go hunt with their family, but I would be doing something else, and then I'd end up hunting by myself, which, as you probably know, isn't as much fun. It's when you have that camp life, which is why I show the things we grill. I show organizing my Connex storage trailer, because that's part of the camp life, and that's what I want to do. So that's like, nobody cares about organizing crap in a storage unit, you know, but somebody watched it. You know, and if that makes them happy, that's great. But right now, I'm not doing any guided hunts because I can't get the land prepared. I have actually added cattle this year. There's a guy that's going to rotate cattle off the 4 properties, and he's only paying me some money. But I'm trying to find any way that I can make the ranch to where I can just break even. I'm not trying to make this be a business. I mean, it is a business, but I'm not trying to fund myself. Let me put it that way. Like, you see some of these guys on YouTube that have 317,000 followers, and I looked back, he posted like 160 videos in a year. I'm like, that's crazy. You know, you're doing that every day. Would I love to do that? Sure. But my life doesn't do that, as most people's don't. So I'm just your average everyday hunter that owns his own land. So I do have that advantage, but so do all these other guys. Like, you know, I watched your guy. He said, I just want action. He's like, I just want action in my hunts. I'm not that way. Like I told you earlier with yours, when you get in your truck and you play, how did you get that use of that music, by the way? That's a question I have for you, because I have a huge music collection and would love to include the music that I like. But 2 things. 1, I don't want to do copyright infringement. And 2, a lot of people that are into that scene are not into our scene. Let me put it that way.
I'll give you a little hint. Copyright infringement. I put the videos up, and those were a couple of my first videos. You know, I just started throwing up hunting videos, and I played the music just in my truck. On the way there, I was by myself. I could turn it up loud enough to where it was going to sound decent. I posted it, and like a week later, they're like, you can leave this up, but it's like a copyright infringement, and you can't ever make money on it or monetize on it. And I was like, someday I'll take it down and take the music out. But that was like part of the trip. So like, it's like, you know, I don't really like, I don't want to like take it out. Yeah. So
I want to tell the story visually and verbally. Like that one guy you're talking about, he's like, I just want action. I don't want to see you talk. Well, there's a guy, Flair that's on YouTube. He's got a bajillion followers, and he talks incessantly, but he's good. I watch him all the time, but he does stuff like he'll go buy animals at auctions, and he has an abandoned ranch and all this, but he's just constantly talking. And I do that some too, but then you have the people that just I want to see the hunt and you kill. That's not me. I want to see the story. Like,
yeah, it's not me either.
And that's what I liked about yours.
Yeah.
Like I watched
Appreciate
that video driving, and then you're and you do the scan of the whole area. I did the same exact thing. I was watching your video going, I do the same thing. And then, it's too dark to shoot, but I don't care. I'm still going to shoot. Like that second hog I killed that was 210 pounds. It is so dark you can't even see, but you hear me and I'm into it, man. I'm excited. I say, holy shit, like 12 times. And, and then I'm like, whoa, I never realized how excited I was going to get to kill hogs. I mean, when we got on that duck lease, it was somebody's property, and I killed my first hog in 2015. And now I'm just all about it. And there's a funny story about, we made this trap, and my buddy made this trap, and he was going to be a game warden. So I made him make it. He charged me way too much money, but he was going to be a game warden. And I pulled the thing off the trailer, and the damn weld broke. So we have these hogs hopping around in there, and I'm like, I'm all nervous because I've never killed hogs on their down. I shot them with a 44 mag and missed, and this far. And then my dad, he used to do cowboy action shooting, like competitively for seniors, and he would load his own stuff. So they're made with light loads. And I said something about light loads, so that kind of got misconstrued. And one of my name down at the duck camp was Nacho Light Loads. So, and that's the thing about duck hunting. It's very, very like a group deal. It's not, you're not quiet. And I like that part, but I like being in the woods by myself a lot.
Yeah.
Like that's why I bought another camera. My friend Mike, my best friend Mike, he was going to film me and I was going to film him. And then I was like, you know what? Just let him film himself. And that's double the footage. So, because when you don't get to go do that all the time, you wane. And like, that's what my Instagram page was, is we started off, and I've promoted it, and I've bought followers, but not that many. Like I probably spent $100 on advertisements and stuff like that. I've given away 2 hog hunts on Instagram. I've given away a hog hunt for the VFW Hall, Veterans of Foreign Wars and COVID. And then I gave a bartender was having cancer treatment. So I donated a hog hunt to that too. So I like to give back if I can to those people. And it's just so much fun to have people come out and experience that. On the ranch I've had, she killed her first deer and buck ever. She killed her first buck ever. He killed his first deer ever. My nephew killed his first hog ever. I've had 6 or 7 first hunters come out, and everybody signs the wall. So one of the reasons I've even stopped leasing to my friends, because when you're leasing, you look at the wall, everybody signed. Well, it's them and their friends and family, and then maybe one of my family and a handful of friends, and they're only hog hunting. So I actually stopped leasing. And some of the guys got mad at me, unfortunately, but that's just the way it is. I pay a lot of money, and, I don't want to hunt by myself, and I want to be able to just share it. So I actually stopped doing the leasing, and that all has to do with being tied down here. So, unfortunately, I made some people mad, but, there's more to it than that. But, I know they did a lot of work, and I'll always be grateful to them. And hopefully I'll have them out one day, but we have to mend some fences. So. It's just the way that money and friends, it never works out really well.
Yeah. Can get slippery real quick, can it?
Yeah. And like those guys from Wisconsin, my deal was you kill 1 pig, it's $225. You kill 30 pigs, it's $225. Well, he killed a 10-pound pig. He shot a 10-pounder at night because he couldn't see under the lights. And I said, that's the world's most expensive pork, but I didn't charge him for that. I think for the 110-pound, the 10-pound, and the 2 raccoons, I think they were going to pay me $250 total, or no, $500 total. I ended up charging like $300. I'm not here to take advantage of anybody. So once again, I will get back to giving hog hunts, and a guided hog hunt for me basically is I put you in a blind, and that's what happens. You're either going to see one or you're not. But we can drive around and sneak up on feeders quite a bit. We've done that. I don't know how many times. We just rolled up and there'll be hogs at the feeder. You just walk up and shoot them. They don't have very good sight, and they have good hearing and smell, but eventually I will get back to selling a few hog hunts, because it just supplements the feed cost for me. That's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking to become this giant outfitter, and I can't. I don't have the space.
Yeah.
Those giant outfitters in Texas have 10,000 acres. I mean,
so
you can bring tons of hunters for that.
If a guy was going to come down there and hunt on a guided hunt, is he allowed to go off on his own, or are you with him the whole time?
I would just put him in a blind, to be honest with you, unless he wants me to be there. And I kind of asked not to walk around, especially if there's other people hunting. And the good thing about my property is that if you hit a fence, that's the property line. Just don't go over it, you know? So I had a guy, he came out, he had this big monitor on his thing. And he hunted all night. He literally hunted all night, and he killed a huge 260-pound nasty pig. I mean, we didn't even want to cut the head off. It was so gross. It was literally gross, and it stunk like shit. It literally stunk like shit, and there had barely any hair on it, and it was just not something you want to eat. But he would get out and he'd walk at night with no lights on. And to me, that's crazy. That's just asking to get hurt. That's kind of how I look at it. Especially in the summertime, we have rattlesnakes. You know,
ooh, I'm not a snake guy.
Oh, we've killed 3 or 4 rattlesnakes, which is when I was younger, my dad I was in a deer blind and I was hunting quail from a deer stand when I was getting, he bow hunted, and he actually ended up coming down and hunting in front of the field. Excuse me. I didn't shoot him. And he shot a doe with his bow, and it ran right past me, and we went looking for it, and we couldn't find any blood. And this guy, Bobby Sandlin, my dad's friend, I told you passed away. He was in front of me. I was here, and then my dad was behind me, and I hear Bobby go, "Oh shit, snake!" And I've never seen anyone jump up, over, and out at the same time. And that snake just missed him. My dad was 6'5". He held it up like this without the head, and it was touching the ground.
My gosh.
It was a 7-foot rattlesnake, man. And it's probably that big around. It was huge. I couldn't even lift it up. But we have bull snakes on our place too. They eat rattlesnakes. So we don't, I had an 8-foot bull snake, and we have blue indigos. And, you know, I've stepped on a cottonmouth. So I wear snake boots pretty much all the time when I'm here. But I'm more worried about the hogs than I am anything. And real quick, that guy, Bobby Sandlin, I was telling you about, that let me hunt, my dad hunt, this year, his son and I got together, and I let him come into my place, and he killed a doe, and then he came back with his girlfriend, and he killed a little, like a 4-year-old spike with no teeth, had like no teeth back here at all.
Huh.
It was weird. It had none, like they were never there. And then his girlfriend came, and she killed an 8-point buck. Because if you've never killed a deer before, you pretty much can kill whatever you want on my property. Just because I want your first experience to be fantastic. Put blood on her face, and she was wearing this crop top type thing. And I said, I've never asked a woman this before, but can you please put more clothes on? Because she had one of my shirts, so I wanted to take a picture with my shirt on. Because if you come to my place, you're a hunter for the first time, you automatically get a shirt, you know, or you know, the hoodies and hats are a little more expensive, but you know, shirts and you know, bandanas and stickers. I give away stickers like they're, you know, free.
Yeah.
So if you want a sticker, hit me up.
There you go.
A free sticker. It cost me 32 cents to send it to you.
If you've made it an hour and 36 minutes into this podcast, he's saying you deserve a sticker for listening to him.
Yes, absolutely. And once again, if you use Hunt the Wild, whenever this is posted for 2 weeks, we will give you 10% off your entire order of stuff.
Heck yeah.
You buy one sticker for $1 or something, or you can just email me for free. So I'll just send it to you. I actually have to get some made because I'm almost out, but you know.
There you go. That's a hell of a deal.
Yep.
So
I've sent them to Brazil, Canada, several different places, England, and they're put on the people on their cars, and I love when they do that because I use the hashtag rock and roll. There's one going around an 18-wheeler in England, man. It's my brother-in-law's family. So.
No kidding.
That's another video I had. I took his stepdad shooting they're from England. They can't do that.
Yeah.
And there's a video on there, and we go shooting, and then I take him fishing, and he ends up in the emergency room.
Uh-oh. Don't tell the story. Make everybody go there and watch it.
And his son came. I took him to Twin Peaks. I know you know what Twin Peaks is. Yeah. You know it's a restaurant. You know what a restaurant is? Like Hooters.
Oh, okay.
Where they wear scantily clad clothes and feed you. It's a restaurant.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I call it. But anyway, I took him there and took him shooting. Talk about blowing an 18-year-old kid's mind from England. You know what I'm saying? And it's called American Freedom. And that's also went fishing on that trip with my brother-in-law. And I go, I think he has a funny accent. I think he's from North Texas. Of course, he's English.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So
that's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny. So I want to give you, before we wrap it up here, I want to give you a chance to tell one of your craziest hunting stories or experiences.
The craziest.
Anything that really you ever get shot or shoot somebody?
I have been. We've
been peppered. I'm sure
I have been peppered. Yeah, and it like hit me right here in the shoulder. It hurt. Yeah. I mean, it didn't pierce the skin or anything, and I made a big giant deal out of it. We were dove hunting, which dove is delicious.
I love the dove hunt.
2 years ago, we went down to the border, like literally crossed the border wall. And went to the Rio Grande.
Wait, legally or illegally?
No, legally. Yeah, I'm not going to get into that. But
okay,
I've taken some of that too. But I've picked somebody up. Let me put it that way. But I've also hunted them. I think they've been on my property since the inauguration. I'm just no other way to put it. There's more traffic. Like I talked to the game board the other day because my neighbor called and said somebody's on my property. So I called him and he said one county road over. We've had a bunch of illegals, and I speak a little bit of restaurant Spanish, and I can hold a conversation. I love Hispanic people, but just come here the right way. Don't come through my property. Fortunately, I haven't seen any. I don't have any on camera, but I've had evidence that they were there. And as long as they leave me alone, we used to feed them back in the day when I was a kid. Like literally Thanksgiving, my dad and I were down there, and right thing to do on Thanksgiving is give this guy food. He's outside walking from Mexico. How bad does it have to be to do that?
Yeah.
It's got to be pretty bad. So we fed them, and then we found out there's more of them. Well, then they started breaking in because they figured out they'd come, and then they started breaking in while we were there. And there's a guy that graduated from Texas A&M, I think in 1941, and they stole his graduation ring while we were there. And so it got out of control, and I don't have a problem with people coming. I'm not saying that at all. Bring us your poor, you're tired, you're hungry, your masses, but just do it the right way. Yeah. That's all. I don't mean to get political, but it affects me. I'm 2 counties from the border. So now when I go there and I'm by myself, I have this in the back of my head. Hey, you need to pay attention to make sure there's people. Not people running around. Of course, that could be anybody. It doesn't have to be from the people from the South. It could be some crackhead from, San Antonio that comes up. I mean, I'm far away, but so the craziest. I'm trying to think of the craziest hunting story. I think it's those big hogs, man. To be honest with you, that happened this last year, because 230-pound hog and then a 210-pound hog in the same day is pretty unusual. Yeah. Most people don't even believe that 200-pound hogs exist. Those Hogzilla pictures you see, some of them are real and some of them aren't. But like in the video, you see the dang thing go up on the scale, and I go around and see it. But to have that big hog that close, and it's a bar hog. You know what a bar hog is? Somebody trapped it and castrated it and then let it go. Because it takes all the testosterone out, so it's better to eat. And then they get real big. They get real big. They get real fat. So we trapped that hog in a trap. So he's in that trap, and I've had hogs just ram the trap, like trying to get you. This hog I was sitting there taking selfies with him. He's just he's just popping his gums like, I'm gonna eat you if I can. But he wasn't ramming the thing. Like, you'll see some of the other hog videos when they're in their trap. They'll ram that trap as hard as they can to try to get at you because they're trapped. And then that night, it takes 6 243 rounds. You could hear him hit the hog. You could hear him hit it. And I hit it in the head twice because I tried to get the Euro mount done, and it was shattered. So I hit that hog in the head twice. I hit it in its genitalia once because it was dark. I mean, you see the video, it's really, really dark. Yeah. But to kill 500 pounds of pork in one day, basically, is pretty unusual. And my heart was, my adrenaline was going, man, to be honest with you. So that's probably, since the ranch, that's probably been the craziest thing. And I've killed a fox down there, and a couple of them. But the deer that I killed, so my dad passed away in November of 2018. The opening day of the 2019 season, I killed my biggest buck ever. And I didn't get it on video because my damn camera broke. But this deer was such a bully. Had a ripped ear, and actually, I have him mounted next to my dad's deer that he mounted the first time I went and shot. And in the middle, there's a plaque that says in loving memory of my dad. So, but I killed that deer almost a year later to when my dad passed away. And as soon as I shot that buck, I lost it for like 30 minutes. I mean, it'd been almost a year. And I mean, it was the slobbery, and some of it's on video. So I showed it all. I cry on video twice, but for obvious reasons. So that deer means a lot to me. And, it wasn't a huge deer. I mean, it's the biggest deer I've ever shot, but I got it mounted just because I wanted to go with my dad's deer. First deer that I ever shot with him, first deer that I shot without him. So they're like a pair now. So that one was pretty cool.
That's super cool.
The dove hunting video, this first dove, I have another one to put up this year. This year's dove hunting video was nothing like last year's. We went down to that place I was telling you about, and I'm not a very good wing shot, but in an hour and a half, I killed 15 doves, which is your limit. And we started at 2 p.m. So I just basically sat around and watched my other friends shoot all night long. Well, so that's the first time I'd ever dove limited. The 96 birds we killed in one day, all of us killed. And that's the first time that's ever happened at that duck lease. And, your barrel was smoking hot. And then, of course, going to Canada, being on your first guided hunt and being out of the country the first time. Those are probably my tops so far.
Yeah.
Of course, nothing ever beats the small 4-point that I killed when I was a kid with my dad. I mean, I lost the horns to my uncle's barbecue restaurant, but the first, I even say to my first in hunting, like the first time I killed a mallard, this guy had been duck hunting for 30 years and never killed a mallard. So I killed a mallard before he did.
Really?
We were in Canada. So
Yeah.
we don't get mallards that far south generally in Texas. But I'd like to go to Stuttgart, Arkansas. I think that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So
I never been out that way. Never been west of Missouri. Been all over the East Coast and down south, Costa Rica and everything else.
Dude, you need to come if you can set up. I know you got a baby, but if you can come to Texas, man, just come on.
Yeah. I'm super interested. I've been wanting to shoot a hog for a long time.
Oh, dude, please come. Like
and
Kurt wants to come
and it
shoot
sounds
him
like
too.
it's not too expensive.
It's free.
Yeah.
See, people that scratch my back, like you put me on the podcast, and I try to scratch your back. I'm not trying to do this to be a business and make profit.
Yeah.
I just like to share, man. That's what I like to do. I mean, I need to make some kind of money because it just offsets the cost, but
how far is there any kind of towns near your ranch? How far is the closest town?
Closest town is on the highway is 12 miles.
Oh, that's not bad.
But the trip takes 45 minutes each way.
Okay. Yeah.
The biggest town that's close to me is 45-minute highway trip. And it's not a big town. It's not like San Antonio, Houston, Austin, or anything like that. It's Kerrville is the biggest town close to me. That's like if you wanted to go to a Whataburger, which you've never had a Whataburger, have you?
I think I've seen them down south traveling, but no.
Dude, In-N-Out got nothing. And
I don't even have that here.
I know. See, you got all kinds of things. Like technically, you can come to Texas and either come to my house and we can go fish in the Gulf, and then the next day we're hunting hogs. I mean, we can do that.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, all I ask in return is you take me.
I can put you on some corn and bean fields with some bucks.
I would love it, dude. I would love to hunt over a planted field. Never done that. It's the first time I would ever do that. The first to me in hunting are the most coolest things. Like I have my first widgeon mounted. I have that mallard I shot. It's not even colored up, and I had it mounted. But that giant Canadian goose that's bigger than it's about as big as my 62-inch television at home almost reaches all the way across.
No shit.
Yeah, they're huge, dude. You can hear them hit the ground. Like, whack! They're as big as a turkey for sure. So.
All right. Well, can you tell everybody kind of where to find you on social media? We got to wrap it up here. We're getting kind of close to our
I told you we'd get close to 2 hours now.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Almost all my social medias are linked to my website, which is, rock-in-rollredneckoutdoors.com. You can Google it. I'm on Instagram, which is rock_roll. I think you got that one wrong. One of those wrong. Anyway, Rock and Roll Redneck Outdoors. If you go to the website, there's links to YouTube, there's links to Facebook, there's links to Instagram. And they also have Rumble, which if you guys aren't YouTube fans, you can use Rumble. I'm going to I think I have 6 episodes to go. I'm going to have a new episode that I'm filming starting tomorrow. So I'll have 7 more episodes upcoming. I just have to sit down and edit it, but I have a whole new computer for that. I have a whole new camera set up. I bought a thermal scope to hunt hogs with at night. I've got 2 Tacticams, 2 GoPros. So we're going to start trying to film more. Excuse me. And the ultimate goal is to just have a lot of fun, and I hope you all enjoy it. And, that's just that's how it goes. I don't really know what else to say, but
well,
even on like Xfinity, which is Comcast down here, if you hold the voice button and say Rock and Roll Redneck Outdoors YouTube, it'll take you right to my YouTube page, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, super cool. So just Google that Rock and Roll Redneck Outdoors, and you'll find them.
Yeah, that's the easiest way to do it. There's an email address attached to it, so if you ever want to shoot an email address, the website does say guided hunts, but it'll say this thing. And I will start that at some point again, but I have to be able to dedicate the time to give you guys the right hunting experience. Like I have a tiny cabin and a bathroom that's 100 yards away, so this is not fancy by any stretch of the imagination. Glamping is a good way to do. I do have a flat screen TV that doesn't even have HDMI cable. But I also have a big flat screen that we can watch TV on. But I don't go down there to watch TV. I go down there to watch the animals. So
yeah. Cool, man. Well, I appreciate you, like I said, being flexible on the time. I know we had to adjust that a little bit.
This was fun, man.
And I appreciate you coming on here and chatting. It's fun to, like you said, it's always fun to hear about. You talk about wanting to go to other states and hunt. I really enjoy hearing about other states. I find it maybe not funny, but I find it a little bit odd that you've never hunted like over a cornfield or a bean field. I'm sure you find it funny that I've never, been to Texas or shot a hog. So it just goes to show that like being 10, 15 hours away,
it's a long way, bro.
So much different, man.
And like I said, if I'm serious when I'm telling you to come, I'm 100% serious. Kurt's never been to my place. Maybe we all three get together and go hunt my place for hogs or something. I mean, seriously. But if you want to fly in, I'll get you at the airport. I mean, it's San Antonio airport's on the way. Houston airport is, kind of on the way. But if you want to fly in and don't have to drive, you want to drive, come on, man. We'll have a good time. And I'm serious. And all I really want to be for you to take me. I mean, I don't know what it costs to get a license, but it doesn't matter. I don't know what it costs to get a license here, but I still think you could kill 5 deer here. Like hey, look, there's my dog. See him?
Hi, dog. You look like my dog.
That's Cash.
My dog's Shadow. She's black lab.
Hey, what are you doing?
Looks just like her.
Sit. Like he does hand signals and whistle stops and all kinds of stuff. But anyway, yeah,
all right.
man.
All right. I appreciate you coming on. Like I said,
sure, man. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah. We'll have to get you on here soon. Maybe we'll talk after.
Yeah, man.
After you get some more hunts under your belt.
Yeah, anytime, man. As you could tell, I like to. I'm looking at the time, going, we only have 9 minutes to make it 2 hours.
Cool, man.
All right,
I appreciate it again. I'll catch up with you.
Sure, man. Like I said, if you can set up a trip, just give me some notice. We'll do it.
Cool, man. We'll see ya.
There's plenty of hogs that need to be killed.
I'm definitely interested.
Appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you. Hey, everyone. Thanks for tuning into another episode of the Hunt the Wild podcast. If you enjoyed the show and it's brought you some sort of value, I'd love if you could give me a rating and a review. Just a few seconds of your time can help me better understand the type of content you all enjoy, and it would mean the world to me to hear from all of you.